Any thoughts on somebody replacing Bill Irod?
This could be tough.
Yeah,
Okay. We are live.
okay. So please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Limber?
Here.
Trustee Foster?
Here.
Trustee McKnight?
Here.
Mayor Newhart?
Here.
Trustee Cheney is absent this evening.
Okay. May I have a motion to accept the minutes of September 6, 2022?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And a motion for authorization to pay all approved and audited claims in the amount of $223,465.64.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And tonight, we have a presentation by Peggy Kurtz. And Peggy, thank you for coming all this way. Where do you hail from? You're from Rockland County?
From Nyack.
From Nyack, okay. A little bit of a trip,
Yeah.
so.
I think I took the wrong way, like over the mountain, very, very windy.
That's the way.
Okay.
That kind of helps us in a way. It keeps us a little bit more rural.
It's not fun in the dark.
No, not at all, yeah, so,
For the first time.
yeah. Well, welcome to Warwick.
Well, thank you very
Yeah.
much, okay. So good evening, and thank you very much. I'm here this evening to speak about community choice aggregation. I hope people can understand me.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Community Choice Aggregation Energy Programs, or CCA for short. CCA programs with renewable energy are community-based clean energy programs. They aim to help entire communities make the transition to renewable energy. They also have the potential to deliver cost savings. I'm the community coordinator for Jewel Community Power, which is one of the leading program administrators in New York State for clean energy programs. Jewel Principals pioneered Westchester Power, which was the first CCA program in New York State. Jewel was also the first nationally to introduce community solar through CCA programs. It's the only one still authorized to do what's called opt-out community solar, which I'll talk more about. Jewel is really a leader in New York State in innovation and in experience, specifically in renewable energy programs, in pricing, and also in breadth of services for renewable energy. The aim of our program is to make renewable energy affordable for everyone. I'll talk a little bit more about this later on. I know you have a brand new Climate Smart Communities Task Force. We're here to help your community achieve its sustainability goals, and I'll talk about that more later on. Okay.
Oh,
Jewel is-
by the way, Peggy, just
Yes.
if anyone's watching, you can find the material on the village website in the agenda for tonight. We're not able to show the TV given the setup, but just in case anyone wants to follow along.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Jewel is currently working with 51 municipalities representing over 800,000 households in New York State, including the city of Rochester. So what is community choice aggregation? Through CCA, municipalities create a large aggregate, community choice aggregate, or buying group, through which the residents and small businesses may purchase the energy for their electricity at competitive fixed rates. It's like any other buying group, like BJ's or Costco's. Municipalities can leverage the buying power of that large group, so tens of thousands of households, to achieve cost saving for residents, even with renewable energy. CCA programs are overseen by the Public Service Commission, and they are actively promoted by two state agencies, NYSERDA and DEC. Some of the benefits of the program, so am I facing the camera so people can?
Camera's over
It
there.
is right behind you.
They can hear
so
you, though.
They can hear you,
Okay,
yes.
Sorry about that. Some of the benefits include 100% renewable energy, competitive fixed rates, strong consumer protection, and more choice for consumers. And I'll talk about each of these as we go forward. Okay. In 2019, New York State passed groundbreaking climate legislation which mandates an unprecedented transformation of the state's electric grid. The electric grid must be powered 70% by renewable energy, so that's only 7 years away, and it must be 100% carbon-free by 2040. The state cannot meet these very ambitious goals, which will ultimately help protect our own communities without action by local governments. We just cannot do it. The program we're discussing today helps communities take a major step in the direction of those goals. As one example, through the Rockland Community Power Program, over 21,000 Rockland households have transitioned to clean energy while saving over $9.5 million, obviously collectively. CCA's growing movement, I know it's still relatively new in Orange County, but there are over 150 New York State municipalities that are either actively participating in or are in the process of coming on board into CCA programs. CCA started in New York State with a pilot program in Westchester, and today 2/3 of Westchester communities are in a similar program, and they're in their, I think it's their 3rd round. 100% of the communities have re-enrolled every time. Locally, I also want to mention the Rockland Community Power Program with 12 communities planning to participate in the renewal that is currently going on, and that includes 2 Orange County communities and 14 communities in the Hudson Valley Community Power, which is now, I believe, in its 2nd round. So in the CCA program, Orange and Rockland remains as the electric utility. In New York State, the utility no longer actually supplies the energy. In 1998, the PSC separated out supply and delivery in order to lower costs for consumers. The utility no longer owns the power plants, but essentially has become the middleman delivering the energy, purchasing the energy for the customers, and then delivering the energy. With CCA, O&R continues to deliver the electricity, repair and maintain the lines, bill the customers, and most important for many of us, they're still the ones to call in the event of power outages. So what's the difference between CCA and the ESCOs, energy service companies, or third-party suppliers that mail to all of us constantly, and we all see lots of different offers? So there's a big difference. This is a collaborative municipal program. It's not just another company that's like an ESCO. With the ESCOs, usually you will be offered, you'll have a contract and you're offered a low introductory rate, and then often to find out later that your rate has been raised by quite a bit. Not always, but very often. I've talked to hundreds of people, and I feel like, a very high percentage of people on the ESCOs end up paying a lot more than they had bargained for. With CCA, there are no contracts for consumers. I want to emphasize that, no contracts for consumers, no exit fees. The rates are guaranteed for the life of the program. They're fixed rates. There's no bait and switch. What you see is what you're going to get.
It's guaranteed until you renew, until the
Correct.
renewal period?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
And how long, I'm sorry, how long
Sure.
is the renewal? Like, how long is a single,
Period.
yeah,
So what I've seen so far is 2-year contracts and 3-year contracts.
oh, thank you.
I don't think ever less than 2 years, yeah. So now let's talk about rates. I'm showing this graph as an example, but new rates must be negotiated for new communities. So I can't tell you right now, I'm not hedging, I'm not being, just in all honesty, I can't tell you what the new rates would be 8 months from now, 10 months from now. Utility rates are variable, so we can only compare past performance. Keep in mind that O&R rates are for what's called standard energy. Standard energy at this point in time is about 87% powered by fossil fuels, mostly natural gas, small amount of coal, small amount of renewable energy. Generally, renewable energy is slightly more expensive than standard energy. This program helps to remove that obstacle. The current O&R rates are 12.5 $0.59 per kilowatt hour for October. That compares with the fixed program rates of 7.167 cents. So, but obviously the rates have varied for O&R considerably over this period. The graph compares the Rockland Community Power program rates with O&R since the program began through the end of August. I was trying today to graph the rest of it. It's actually, would be up to the top for October. The zigzag line is for O&R's variable rates. The two flat lines at the bottom are for the program rates. The green rate is for the green energy rate, renewable energy, 100% renewable energy, and the blue rate, or blue flat line all the way at the bottom is for the standard energy, which is also available through the program. This was a tough year for energy costs. There was a cold winter followed by a record hot summer, inflation, and of course the war in Ukraine. Through all of that, you can see the two program rates just keep on going to flat lines. Within the program, collectively, this is within Rockland Community Power, the 6 communities have saved $9.5 million over 22 months. The per household savings over 21 months came to $180. I think that's like $8.60 per month, something like that. There are two main components to Juul's program: the base electricity supply and community choice solar. So the energy from the base electricity supply is from larger utility scale projects currently already existing run-of-river hydropower projects. Community solar can be added on to the base electricity supply. It's not a choice between the two. It's not a choice. It's like two branches of a tree or two classes in high school. Through the community solar program, consumers help to support the development of new renewable energy projects, smaller projects, by subscribing to a share of the solar project. The benefits, so I'll say a few other things. There are some similarities between the programs, between the two parts of the program. Both programs deliver clean energy and help lower energy costs. Both provide strong consumer protection. Both are also opt-out programs. As a program administrator, it is our job to be sure that residents understand the program. Once the program actually begins, a packet and information is mailed to every eligible household. That also includes a postage-paid reply card to opt out of the program. They just sign their name, put date on it, stick it in the mailbox, you're out of the program. I want to emphasize also the strong consumer protection. There are no contracts for consumers for anything in the program. Rates are fixed. Anyone can opt out at any time and with no fee. So the benefits, among the benefits of community solar, of all community solar programs, are guaranteed savings, in addition to doing the right thing for the environment, guaranteed savings off the monthly electric bill. But there are additional programs to Juul's program, additional benefits, no contracts for consumers, no second bill. It's all on that one utility bill that your constituents are comfortable with, and no credit requirements. So it really opens it up to everyone. So I'll just briefly mention, and I'm glad to talk about it more in the Q&A if you'd like, that this is a program, both CCA with renewable energy, if you choose renewable energy as the default, and community solar, both make you eligible for points, for major points in both clean energy communities and climate smart communities, so help to get you closer toward funding. I believe the village is already a designated clean energy community, right? But this would help to boost it up to get the higher levels of funding that you really want. Okay, so I can talk about this more. Okay. Juul, this is important. Juul's program also includes advisory services for the municipality. It's not an additional fee, it's just part of the program. And that includes advising communities on the design and implementation of renewable energy projects of your own municipality, guidance on assessing private proposals for solar projects on land that's within your municipality, battery storage projects, solar services for community facilities such as schools, and demand response. I want to emphasize that this is an important slide also. This is a turnkey program. As program administrator, Jewel does the work for the municipality, and that includes putting together an aggregate of communities, public education, negotiation of contracts with energy suppliers, regulatory compliance, and ongoing individual customer service throughout the life of the program. There is, and I guess the one caveat I would say is we do need help from the municipality with public education. There is no direct cost to the municipality or to the consumer. Jewel collects fees from the energy supplier amounting to an average of about $1 per month. And that's the same. Whatever supplier is chosen in the end, it's the same. That's a fixed rate. So that means there's no incentive for Jewel to choose one supplier over another for that reason. Suppliers are required to include all the costs within the rates, so there are no hidden or additional costs. So that fee is just built into the rate.
$1 per household per month.
$1 per household per month on average, yeah, depending on energy use, yeah, it's per kilowatt hour. Yeah. I just want to mention that Jewel is particularly strong in its outreach programs. We will host our own meetings in the community, online and in person. We'll attend community meetings such as seniors or Rotary or whatever there is, community groups. There's a helpline, ongoing customer service, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, helping people with their individual choices, explaining their bills, all of that kind of thing. And social media, building a website, all of that. So, wrapping up, I just want to say that I'm glad to provide a list of references from already participating communities. These are the first two steps, but I want to emphasize both of them are exploratory and non-binding. And as I was explaining earlier, everything in the program actually remains exploratory and non-binding up until we get to the end of the process and you see the actual rates and you're happy with the rates and you want to decide that you want to proceed ahead. So the first step is to approve the CCA local law. And when you pass the CCA law, you're basically explicitly taking onto yourselves the authority that you already have through Home Rule and through the Public Service Commission decision in 2016. The second step is to select Jewel as program administrator so that we can sign an agreement with Jewel, and that enables Jewel to move ahead with public education and the first steps to file an implementation plan on your behalf with the Department of Public Service. And now I'm ready for your questions.
Just quickly, what communities in Orange County are part of the program?
Highlands and Highland Falls.
Okay.
So do I understand correctly that we have to agree as a community to
Yes.
sign up, and then based on the number determines the cost?
Okay, so yes, it is a program, that's the strength of the program, is that it works at the municipal level.
Okay,
So if you as an individual wanted to sign up for it, unfortunately you can't.
okay,
It's got to be the municipality. However, it does not depend on the number of people in the community who decide to sign up.
oh, Okay.
I guess, apparently the suppliers kind of calculate, they sort of build that into the rate. They know
I see.
approximately the range of people in the community that will opt out, so they'll build it into the rate. It does depend on the number of people, number of households in the aggregate of communities, but that's our job, is to assemble an
Okay.
aggregate that's about the right size.
There has been some conversation amongst the villages, the 3 villages and the town as trying to coordinate an effort to do it together. And which would then increase just the amount of people that would participate. So just for you to know that.
That's great,
Yeah.
yeah. And we would try, if possible, to bundle a few more too, together with.
Because in terms of community outreach, I'm just thinking that if you're just trying to reach village residents, that's a little bit harder it's a little bit more difficult because, populations are, like the Rotary may have, more town people in it than village. So
Okay.
it would be a much easier task to outreach to the entire town.
Okay, or is there a local newspaper perhaps that?
One,
Or
yeah.
a newsletter, yeah. Okay, yes, that would be perfect.
Mhm.
So would we be joining an existing aggregate, or you have to create a new aggregate?
I believe we would be creating a new aggregate on your behalf.
So there's multiple, so this happens sort of at intervals, I guess?
Yes.
Where you
Yeah.
are working on, and then you roll the communities together. Okay.
Rockland Community Power is in the process of renewing, so that'll be done. And that'll probably be, then it'll be another 2 years before or 3 years before they'll renew again. So this would be a new aggregate.
Okay, so it won't be, and at a renewal point, other communities could join an existing?
Yes, as a matter of fact, Rockland Community Power started with 6 communities, and now there's 12 that are planning to move ahead.
If there's, let's say, within this area, 3 communities join together as an aggregate, but then one goes with a different company. Would that count as part of the aggregate, or is that, I see.
Yeah,
So there's a separation,
right, so then they would probably be their own smaller aggregate.
smaller, okay.
Yeah.
Could you just explain to me, this is probably a silly question, but renewable, what do you mean by renewable in this case?
Sure, okay. So the base electricity supply is currently sourced entirely from smaller hydropower projects from upstate. I think sometimes it has included wind power from upstate. I think eventually it may include offshore wind. Those are the ones that I've heard so far for the base electricity supply, and obviously the community solar is solar. Those are smaller solar projects. Nuclear and biofuels are not included in the base electric supply.
Okay. So I'm on an ESCO now for years. So probably it's 87%
So in
coal
ESCO
or
okay,
oil?
So the ESCOs, you have to look at it, and I'm glad to help you with it if you want, or you can call them and ask. Some of the ESCOs do most of the ESCOs do standard energy, but some of them do 50% renewable or 100% renewable. You have to just take a look
Okay.
at it. The problem with them, with renewable, is that, as I said, contracts tend to be quite high, the price tends to be quite high.
So with, I have two quick questions kind of along that vein. So there are homes in the community that will already have solar. And so I know they would be opting out, but they may also be getting natural gas. So
Okay.
you have a home that like their base electric power is coming from solar, but then maybe the heating and the stove is coming through natural gas.
Okay, so there's a couple of different things, parts of your question. Okay.
Yeah.
So, first of all, the natural gas, we don't handle natural gas. We really are all about sustainability. So the idea is, as you may know, we're trying in New York State to kind of work our way off natural gas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm still using natural gas myself at home, but the idea is to kind of get off of it onto electric, to go electric with as much as we can of our household. So then there's the question of, what if you have solar panels on your roof, or if you're subscribed already to a community solar project?
You just opt out.
No. So the answer is, no, you can still do both. So even if you have solar panels on the roof, you're still probably connected to the grid and you're still drawing some energy from the grid. So that energy would then be through the village program. So you do not, what you can't, if you have solar panels on the roof, you cannot participate in the community solar project because you're getting a state discount for the solar panels on the roof. So you can't, it's like double dipping. You can't get the benefit of the state subsidy for the community solar program and also get the state subsidy for the solar panels on your roof. So if you have solar panels on the roof, you can participate in the CCA program, but not in community solar. If you're already in community solar program, then you probably just want to stay with that, but you can also participate in this program. They do not, how can I explain? I'm trying to think of a simple explanation. They don't, it's not a choice between the two. The community solar does not actually, it's not actually dedicated to your household.
Yeah.
It goes into the grid and it's actually purchased by the utility. You know that already, okay. So this is actually supplying your household.
What, you mentioned battery storage programs.
Yeah.
I know O&R has initiated a battery storage program. How would that affect, potential, household? Does there's no issue?
There's no conflict at
No-
all.
no
Actually,
conflict at all.
It's great to do all of the above.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
no, it's great.
So you mentioned the savings around $8 and change a month,
Mm-hmm.
$100 a year. Is that in comparison to O&R's energy rates?
Yes.
Because the
Yes.
question is, there are other alternatives to O&R, some of them less expensive.
So basically, the less expensive alternatives to O&R are the ESCOs with standard energy. Even for those, you have to look carefully, but yes, there may be less expensive programs through the ESCOs that compare favorably with O&R if it's just cost. But don't forget that we will also make available through the program a standard rate as well. So that could be offered, hopefully you'll want to go with the 100% renewable as the default, but most communities want to make available that alternative of the standard energy for those who want to go with that. So the rate within the Rockland Community Power Program, for example, is 6.515, which is an excellent rate for standard energy.
Can I play this back for a second? So,
Sure.
there's the baseline,
Mhm.
right, which is a good portion of that is standard, which could be renewable and fossil fuels, right? Then there's the community solar, which is slightly more expensive than that, both fixed rates, right? But if the whole program is opt out, it sounds like community solar is individualized opt in. Does that make
No.
sense?
So let me just go back and make sure that
Please.
I'm understanding your question. So the base electric supply, the CCA base electric supply is usually for most communities the default. You have to choose one default, okay, that
Base or community solar, right?
for the base electricity supply.
Okay.
And for every community except one so far through Jewel, it's been 100% renewable energy. But we also advise communities, at least until now, to also make available for those who want or need it, the slightly less expensive option of, through the CCA program, of an alternative with standard energy. So that is also generally you're getting the benefit of the large buying group. So you get a very good rate for that. If you remember on the, you want to
If you could, yes.
Sure.
And while you're on that chart, that there's two branches to the 100% renewables, right? There's the community solar and the renewables. So we're just looking at the renewable, not the community solar bar.
Correct.
The
This
green
part-
line?
This
Yeah, the
part is
green-
the base electricity supply. So the green line is the 100% renewable energy, and the blue line is, as I said, we advise communities to make available the less expensive standard option, almost everybody stays with the choice of their community. Really surprisingly few people chose the Standard Energy, but we advise to make it available so people feel that it's available for them.
So during the outreach, an individual could either opt out altogether or
Yes.
opt down a level?
Correct. You're actually making available 2 more choices through the program.
That's what I was
People
wondering,
can
okay.
opt out altogether, they can go do whatever they want once they opt out, or they can choose either of these 2 within the program at any time. They can also opt out initially. I mean, I've spoken to people who opted out initially, they were just mistrustful initially, it's new, you know, and then after a while, they said, okay, you know, I'm hearing good things from my neighbors, and they opted back into it. Then, in addition to that, the community solar, there's a guaranteed discount through the community solar program. I can't tell you right now what up until now, it's been close to 10% discount for all the community solar programs. I can't tell you what the new discount will be, because we're waiting for a decision from.
That's in October, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about a little bit earlier. The
I think
commission
it's-
is
Yeah,
voting on
I
it.
think
right?
it's in October. I don't think it's NYSERD, I think it's the Department of Public Service, yeah.
Okay.
So what percentage of customers have opted out in the first 6 months because maybe they missed the initial
Okay.
opt-in? And how often can they,
You can go
Change
back
it.
and forth as often as you want to. Usually, the people who opt out, let me change that. Everybody who opted out initially before the program began.
Mhm.
It ranged from what I saw from 10 to 20%, depending on the community.
okay, yep.
Once the program began, really a handful of people opted out, and that includes people who moved out of the community. So I think it's practically nobody opted out once the program began.
So the community solar would be between the green and the black, because
No.
that's not there.
No, I know I know it is confusing. It really can be confusing. Community solar is not a rate. It's a discount. You're getting credits on your bill based on because New York State subsidizes these solar programs.
Mhm.
And so you're getting the benefit of that. The community solar developers are required to pass along a certain percentage of that to consumers. So you get a discount, you get credits on your bill.
So that wouldn't be shown up
It's
here.
not shown on there because it's on a separate rate.
Got it.
It's a discount, and it is a discount on the entire electric bill. So that includes both the delivery and the supply.
Okay.
Now, and where does all the communication come? Does any information come for the village, or is it all information to sign up? Does it all come from Jewel, or is it something we have a link on our website, or?
So that's the part where we do need help from the municipalities to do that, because do you have an e-newsletter that goes out from the village?
Not yet.
Okay. So that makes it a little bit harder.
Are you our new editor?
No, but
No.
we've been talking about doing it. So I said not yet.
Okay, so that does make it easier when there's an e-newsletter. Is there a Facebook page, a village Facebook page?
No.
Whatever there is, we'll try to maximize the use of it. We do, whatever we can to reach the community groups. I'll reach out on an individual basis, group by group. But obviously, we want to reach everybody if we can. And the best way is sometimes through the village itself. So.
Are people ever surprised when they see their first bill, if they just weren't paying attention to all the outreach? You see that? People are gonna miss it, right?
Yeah, we do it at the end of the process, as the program launches, we do a mailing, and we ask the municipal elected officials, we ask the mayor or the supervisor to send out a letter.
Okay.
And it comes from the village, it comes on the village stationery with a letterhead, goes on the envelope, on the outside it says Village of Warwick, or whatever the municipality is, so that hopefully people will open it because it's coming from the village. It explains the program, there's a letter from the mayor, if there's a Q&A, it gives information about the rates are in there, because at that point we know what the rates are. It gives information about the community solar whatever there is in there, and about more information sessions. So every eligible household will get that. The people who are on ESCOs are not considered officially eligible, in quotation marks. They can still enroll in the program, but we're not allowed to mail to them because that's considered slamming in New York State.
Mhm.
So we don't mail to them. So we still want to
Yeah.
reach everybody, but will not get that packet.
So there was a solar farm in Sugarloaf by the OC Citizens Foundation where you could sign up to receive your power from that source. So what happens to customers who sign up for that? Is that considered an ESCO?
No, that is probably community solar project. I know it's confusing and people think that they're actually getting their energy from that project, but they are not. Unless it's something different from what I know about it. It's probably, you said it's community solar project, right?
It's OC Citizens Foundation.
Well, I'll check into it, but I think it's probably, it is not actually feed, as I said, community solar projects, the energy is fed into the grid and it's purchased by
I don't know if
by
that's
the utility.
Community solar project or not.
I believe it is, but
Yeah,
we
but
can
you
find out,
buy,
yeah.
so like I did a community solar project and I bought my panels outright, my panels, because I understand that they're just contributing to,
Right.
and so I don't have a bill other than my natural gas. So I would be somebody that would opt out because I bought enough panels,
Mhm.
Carly Citizen, bought enough panels so that it covers whatever
So you're not
electricity
getting an
needs.
O&R bill?
I'm getting a bill because I have I'm getting the bill and the natural gas, but I have enough solar through the panels that I purchased that I don't pay for power.
At all,
At all.
even during the winter?
That's correct, because
Okay.
if the overage during
Okay.
the summer provides a credit,
Okay.
because we bought
Okay.
extra because our children were going to eventually have all of their electronics and all of that other stuff,
Okay, so maybe you bought over and it's working in a little different way. Usually the way it works is that you still end up paying
something.
some of it. You're really paying to that solar project though. You really
Yeah.
are paying to the solar project. I don't know that it covers it entirely for everybody because it depends on the output of the solar.
Yeah.
solar
It depends on
farm.
how much they bought and, yeah.
But you are still even with that energy is still getting fed out into the grid and purchased by the
Mhm.
utility. So in fact, this is actually, you do not want to opt out because this is what's actually going to supply your house. I know that sounds confusing, but the energy from the solar farm is not actually going to your house.
It's going into the grid.
It's going into the grid and it's being purchased by the utility, most likely. And this is actually offsetting, this is actually supplying your house. So as a result of this project, there's less of the, you're getting closer to shutting down a power plant someplace, so you do not want to opt out of it.
I have a question about the outreach.
Sure, but you don't want to sign up for the community solar farm through the program, because you're already subscribed to community solar.
Why would she pay a $1 a month administrative fee when she's not using any of the electricity?
You're paying, well, you probably are going to, well, I'm telling you that you probably do not want to opt out of it because because you're still not getting your actual energy from renewable energy. Even though, I know it's confusing, I understand that, but it's really set up in a very complicated way. That's the way the Public Service Commission set up community solar programs, that the projects have to get a certain number of subscribers, and then they're also required to pass along some of the benefit of the subsidy. But despite that, the energy is really going to the utility.
Well, I think that's just something for us to look into a
Yeah.
little bit more.
Definitely.
The question about outreach is, so, I had mentioned before that, like, I had a conversation with Good Energy at NICOM, and, one of the conversations I had with them was about outreach, because we have to pass a local law and select our provider, our CCA provider, before the outreach begins,
That's correct.
according to that. And so, and they had mentioned the possibility of doing front end outreach, because it just seems, does it not seem like a little bit backwards that we would pass the law and select a provider and then communicate with the community about it? I mean, I know that this is kind of partly the communication, but it just, that just seemed kind of backwards to me. And so, and I understand that you wouldn't want to put out the money and do outreach and engagement before having been
Right.
selected. It's just sort of,
Yeah, it's like we're working for months on your behalf
yeah,
and filing with the, the regulatory, for the regulatory compliance, which is a lot of work also.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work that's done on your behalf, all along the way. I wanted to mention, Carly and I were talking earlier, that Good Energy touts the fact that they're recommended by NICOM. That is a paid endorsement. So I just wanted to mention that it's a paid endorsement. Jewel is really a leader in New York State in innovation, in expertise in renewable energy, pricing, breadth of services, the advisory services, the innovation, yeah.
yeah. And you mentioned before that they're not doing community solar yet.
They are doing community solar. I
Okay.
think pretty much, well, yeah, but they are not doing the what's we're calling it's opt-out community solar.
Got
We're
it.
the only ones authorized currently to do opt-out community solar, and the benefits of that include no contracts for consumers, which is a big one. People hate signing contracts, I don't blame them. The consolidated billing, so it's all on that one bill that everybody's used to, and no credit checks.
Do you have something you send us that we put in our envelope and send to our residents to advertise this program?
So we do the mailing and we pay for the mailing.
Okay, so it doesn't come, but it comes in a Village of Warwick
It
envelope?
does,
from the-
and obviously
Okay.
you have to approve
Yeah.
anything that goes into that mailing ahead of time.
Okay. Can we see a copy of that? What?
Sure, I could send
Could
you
you
a copy
email?
of something
Yeah.
from Rockland Community Power, yeah.
Okay, that would
Yeah.
be good.
Yeah, it seems like we might want to do like a little bit of, engagement on the front end and like explain why we've selected the company that we're selecting and how what will happen, and then,
Absolutely.
yeah. And then we would turn over the engagement and obviously work in collaboration.
Do you have a print newsletter that goes out anytime?
Not yet.
No-
Okay.
See, I said not yet earlier, and Bill goes, "Are you the editor?"
And if and when the village folks get this letter, who do they call with all
Okay,
those
really good-
questions?
Really good question, okay. So it's our job to answer the questions. However, the first place that they're gonna call, I can tell you, is probably going to be Village Hall.
Yes.
Yeah,
And the reason is because they wanna verify, is this a village program?
That's
Or
right.
is this a scam?
Yes.
So we're gonna ask you to put on your website some information about it, so that when people look at the village website, they see it and they say, okay, I guess this is a real thing. I don't blame them, I mean, there's so many scams out there, but then we tell people municipal, the village clerk, et cetera, to, just refer everything on to us. We're glad, that's what we're here for.
Very
We'll
good.
answer all the questions. But that first question, is this a real village program? Yes. You do need to.
Yeah, can you please go back and describe the administrative fee?
So it's based on the kilowatt hour per household. So I know it was 0.008 cents per kilowatt hour. So I guess now it's 0.1016 cents per kilowatt hour. It amounts to, on average, about $1 per household per month.
Is that,
And that is it's included in the rate. The suppliers are required to give us their rates, including that fee. There's nothing additional, there are no additional fees, there are no hidden fees.
Is that your fee to the supplier?
No, it's the supplier is paying us for the work that we're doing essentially for you and for your constituents. So there's no direct fee to the municipality and no direct fee to the consumers.
So it's a fee to the supplier.
The fee is to the supplier, yes. The supplier is getting the benefit of all of these tens of thousands of households so, that they're now serving.
Mm-hmm.
I have one final question. In the handout on Community Choice Solar, it says on page 5, it says low to moderate income customers will be prioritized for the financial benefits of this program. What does that mean?
So we are still working it out because we're waiting for the decision from the Department of Public Service. But let's say that there was not in Orange and Rockland sufficient capacity in community solar to serve the entire community, then we would prioritize the low to moderate income. We would first serve them
Got it.
so that they would get the
Okay.
benefit of the discount, whatever that discount will be. As I said, until now, it's been close to 10%, but we don't know what's going to be going forward.
Okay, thank you. And this connects into something that they were talking about at NICOM about the state pushing to create more solar farms.
Yes.
Sure, yes.
Okay,
that's been-
because this is only based on the existing capacity of,
Right,
yeah,
correct.
got it.
Correct, but as we go along, there are developers developing new projects all the time,
got it.
as I'm sure you're aware, in Orange County, yeah.
Any other questions? Board?
Sorry, one
No,
more.
that's good.
How long is the village, once we, I guess, contract through CCA, right? How long is the village, I guess, locked into that agreement?
Or get the benefit of the agreement.
Was that?
I said, or get the benefit of the agreement.
No, I'm trying to look at the other side as well.
Yeah, sure, of course. So, I think it's generally either 2 or 3 year terms for the contracts.
Mhm. Right. Should the village not find the benefit? I'm not saying that's the case, but should that be the case, how does that affect the program? Does it go back to everyone just having their old O&R bill?
Do you mean, like, let's say that you get to the end of the process and?
Let's say we get to the end and it didn't, we got a lot of feedback and more people wanted out, or whatever the reason is, I'm not going to contrive
Or
it.
bids didn't
Right, or there
satisfy
weren't
you,
as many
yeah.
benefits realized.
Then you just say no. You just,
Say no, and then there's not that aggregated, I guess, purchasing power, and it goes back to whatever people
Correct.
have with their O&R bills to start.
correct. Just always realize that there's, with O&R, there's also that risk. Keep the graph in mind that, it's like,
So- Yeah, so you've been doing this for 2 years. Are there any municipalities that maybe wish they would have done things a little differently?
so far I've been the community coordinator for the Rockland Community Power Program. No, all of the communities, I can say this for all the communities. All the communities so far that Jewel has handled have renewed. I think there was one where there was a change in leadership, except for that one.
Mhm.
All of them have renewed. In Westchester, I know they've all renewed also and added on more communities, and it's been the same for us with Jewel too. So
Okay.
no, there's no communities that have said, no, we're not happy with it and we want out.
Okay.
There was, at NICOM, I was speaking with some folks that are doing it, and they said that they saw significant savings.
Okay.
Can you give us maybe some of the Rockland County
Oh,
communities that,
Absolutely.
so we could do some outreach to
So,
them?
if you
And
want, tomorrow I can send you a list of
That would be-
elected officials from the communities.
that would be
yeah.
wonderful.
And is it fair to say, I think the mayor brought this up earlier, if we were to combine with 2 other villages and the town, that's 4 municipalities, would that likely result in better purchasing power better rates.
Definitely, yes, but can you tell me what the total aggregate population, because I wasn't able to find.
Population or
the
dwellings?
population of
We're,
the-
we're 2,600 dwellings.
But the town,
No.
there's the
It's like
town-
30,000.
30,000 people.
30,000, is that unincorporated, or is that,
That's villages and town.
right, so I guess you could say 30,000 minus if there's a village that doesn't participate,
Mhm.
right? So 30,000 is a good size, and that could be an aggregate of its own.
Mhm.
It could be nice to add in more communities, but it could be an aggregate of its own, I think. I mean, I'm not the person who does the procurement, I can speak with them, but I think that would be enough
Mhm.
to be an aggregate of its own.
What does that mean, an aggregate of its own? Wouldn't we be an aggregate of our own if we decided just to do this as a village?
Just as a village, no, we don't do it that way. We aggregate you together with other communities, so that you're aggregating all of the buying power of all the households in your village, but also together with other communities too. So it's kind of building on it and giving you the ability to leverage the buying power of a larger group. The
Right.
sweet spot, I think I've heard, is something between 20,000 and 40,000 households. We want something in there, so, well, 30,000 population, so that actually, now, let me rethink that. So 30,000 population comes to 10,000 households roughly, right? I would say?
Sure.
Yeah, so no, it probably would not be quite enough, but we could pretty easy, it's a nice size to build on, yeah,
Well, you would be assembling the aggregates
correct.
anyway
That's our
from
work. I
Jewel.
mean, any help from you is great, but yes, that's our job.
I think the question is how could we improve the rates by helping and talking to our neighboring communities? Or is that not gonna move the needle
Yes,
either
it
way?
would, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I know.
For you, right,
Yeah,
but would it also move, I mean, if you would likely put the village into an aggregate that you've already assembled,
mhm.
right? And then we go off and invite some of our neighboring communities to join, it makes it even stronger. Does that improve the purchasing power for now a much larger collective?
So we can't bundle you together with Rockland Community Power, because that's already about to launch.
Uh-huh.
And it's a process that I should tell you to prepare yourself, it's a process that takes about 8 months. It's just what the timeline that it takes. And there are certain periods that are kind of built into that. So you would be too late to join the Rockland Community Power Program. But we do the work, but yes, of course, I know you had spoken with some of the other villages and the town. Were they open to it?
Yes, they've been looking at other programs, so I think it would be a matter of feeding them this information as well. And
Okay.
so,
Okay.
you know,
So yes, absolutely, and then, it can be others outside of Warwick too.
right. Are there any, from your experience, and has there been any county-wide programs in New York State? Because it just seems like that would be the most impressive
Right,
aggregation of,
right, that would be great, but it has to be done at the lowest taxing level.
I see.
So if the town were to do it, it still would not include the village.
Mhm.
It has to be done at the village and the town level. What the county can do is help to promote it,
Mhm.
but they can't set up an aggregate
I see.
themselves.
Okay.
All right, very good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for answering all our questions.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'm just looking to see is there anything else that I really would want you to, I'm really glad to answer your questions afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, you've got us thinking,
okay.
and I think that's really great. And
Okay.
thank you to Sustainable Warwick, who basically
Yes.
is, trying to see this program potentially happen here. So,
That's great. I should say, it's an exciting program, I think. I mean, as I was saying to Carly earlier, I was on the other side of the table a few years ago, not in the sense that I'm not a trustee, just a resident, very active in my community, and wanted to see this a very empowering feeling
Mhm.
to make a program like this happen, to do something big like this, where you're really switching as a community, for the most part, to renewable energy,
Mhm.
and then also protecting consumers and potentially saving, so. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
so much, I
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Okay, and
And-
thank you so much for your courtesy. And
Oh, no, of course.
Can I wait a little bit in case there are questions from the, or
Oh.
can people?
They can't.
No, they can't, they
They
really,
can't,
yeah.
Okay, great.
We'll wait a minute for her. And would you mind reading that? Linda?
Sure.
Yeah.
You have to wait for the COVID molecules to disperse.
No, no, I'm just waiting for her to pack up her bag. So,
Can we take our mask off? So we can-
all right, wait, why don't we wait? So. Peggy, there is a safer, I mean, less mountainous way to get to 17, correct? That's how you'd want to,
Or 87?
87? I think it would mean going up to Harriman.
Okay. Okay, I was looking a little bit earlier on my phone, and just like, I don't care if it's longer. It's hard when you don't know the road.
Yeah, yes.
Drive safely.
Drive safely,
much.
be careful.
Bye,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. So I think we can take our masks off at this point, if you want. Okay. That was a very, very nice presentation. She did a great job. So we have, under correspondence tonight, we have a letter from Bill Irato, and if you would read it,
Sure.
Bill.
It's addressed to the village board. This letter is to inform the board of my retirement for organizing the Village Warwick Summer Concert Series. It's been 18 years since I took over, and it's time to move on. Would like to thank the board for putting their trust in me to bring music and enjoyment to our wonderful village. I especially would like to thank all of the residents and musicians of the village, town, and surrounding areas for supporting the concert series all these years. And as Dick Wells would say, the show must go on. Signed, Bill Irato.
Yes. And I can say, you know, just publicly, he has been an incredible agent of music. You know, he's been wonderful. And the summer series started, I remember quite distinctly, as one concert at the end of the summer, 19, 20 years ago. And under Bill's stewardship, it has become this incredible series that people really look forward to. And now that it is back at Railroad Green, people really have been excited. It was a very successful season this year. I'm hoping that too we can continue to use our Stanley Deming Park stage, but that this was really exciting. People felt like we've bounced back to some level of normalcy, and music is kind of the great diplomat for that, and so it was wonderful to see. So thank you, Bill. Thank you for everything you've done. Yeah. You've been wonderful, loyal. You were a wonderful trustee, and then you carried this on for many, many years, and we are appreciative. So we're going to go right to motions. And Trustee Foster.
Motion to grant permission to Warwick Skate Initiative to use the Veterans Memorial Skate Park to hold a Game of Skate fundraiser event to benefit the Warwick and Greenwood Lake Skate Parks on Saturday, November 5th, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Completed park permit, proof of proper insurance, and security deposit have been received.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to hire from the attached list of fiscal year 2022 to 2023 special event staff at a rate of $15 per hour for the following events: 10 to 12 staff members for the Halloween parade, 8 to 10 staff members for the Christmas Eve service, and 10 to 12 staff members for the Easter egg hunt per the recommendation of Village of Warwick Recreation Director Ron Introini.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Resolution introducing and setting a public hearing on proposed local law to amend Village Code Chapter 135 Vehicles and Traffic to add traffic safety regulations and traffic control devices. Whereas the Village Board of the Village of Warwick has a local law before it entitled A Local Law to Amend Village Code Chapter 135 Vehicles and Traffic to add traffic safety regulations and traffic control devices. And whereas in order to enact the said local law, it is necessary to introduce it and hold a public hearing upon it. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. 1, that the movement of this resolution does hereby introduce the attached proposed local law, and 2, that a public hearing on the proposed local law be set for November 7th, 2022 at 7:30 p.m., and that due notice of the same is directed to be given by publication and posted.
Second.
Okay. And that's a roll call.
Trustee Foster?
Yes.
Trustee McKnight?
Yes.
Trustee Lindberg?
Yes.
Mayor Newhart?
Yes. And Tom?
Motion to return the planning board escrow balance of $375.50 to 13 Forester Avenue LLC for site plan approval at 13 Forester Avenue. All invoices have been paid as per the email from village engineer Dave Getz and planning board attorney Robert Dickover.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And so do you want to do the film? Bring up the film. Yeah.
Yes. And I also thought it might make sense to talk a little bit about the local law,
Oh, okay,
the
yes.
public hearing.
Okay.
So we're in the process of reevaluating our film policy. We've received several recommendations from the village clerk and others that have sort of dealt with it over the years. So that's in progress. And while it's in progress, and we've met with the Orange County Office of Film and Tourism and received their recommendations, and so I've been sort of drafting it. We did receive a notice today that the Orange County Office of Film and Tourism is interested in doing some filming in the village's downtown on October 14th. That will unfortunately be before our next village board meeting. And so I think we were hoping to make a motion to allow the mayor to sort of proceed with the decision making on this. And then also, because it is a government use, not for profit filming, we would like to propose that we waive the fee.
Okay. So that is the motion.
Second.
Okay.
So it is for just this one particular
It's for Orange County Tourism.
Orange County
Yes.
Tourism,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I kind of conflated two things. One of the things that would be proposed in the new policy is that for government use, we don't have a fee.
Right. Okay. So it's for government use, is enabling you, Mayor, to make the decisions because we're not gonna have a board meeting between now and then.
That's right. And the
This-
board, and
this won't
the
do.
decisions will be time of day, very basic things. There's not going to be very involved.
Got
in
it.
So,
What will be the filming, out of curiosity?
we don't know completely. I mean, they want downtown. That's the idea, is
Yeah, so
Right.
we would still be requiring that the application be completed, insurance provided, we'd waive the fee and security deposit, and, the purpose of the film is to, it says, we're looking to film the downtown area of Warwick to showcase its beauty and promote it on our social media.
I hope it's a beautiful day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Well, maybe they can share that with the New York Forward
New York Forward.
application reviewers.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, okay, well, we have a second, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And final comments from the board, do you want to talk about the local law?
Sure. So the local law to amend Village Code Chapter 135 Vehicles and Traffic will help us address two needs that have arisen through conversations with residents, and then also us identifying a need at a crosswalk in front of Village Hall. So I'll speak to both of them. One, we've noticed that the crosswalk in front of Village Hall presents some potential safety issues because the roadway heading, is this
North, this way?
North and south?
South.
southbound, looks like it's a double roadway. It looks like it should be 2 lanes, even though it's not marked as such. And so we've had multiple folks report on this, and I've also experienced it myself. When there's a pedestrian in the crosswalk and a car stops to allow the pedestrian, sometimes people behind them will pull around the car that is stopped, which presents a potential safety issue for the pedestrians in the crosswalk. So, you know, we know that we're going to be having a working session to talk about pedestrian safety and speeding in the village, but and there are some design solutions that could help with this, but in the interim, to help address folks that don't actually realize that it's not a double lane, we're going to put 2 metered spots in front of Dunkin' Donuts. That will also help address people driving. Some people have been driving directly straight out of Dunkin' Donuts, not realizing that there's like a curb there and it's not a continuation of the parking lot. So having 2 metered spots there will address that safety issue, and then hopefully will address folks that are inadvertently, you know, pulling around and putting pedestrians at risk.
And those spots will start, they won't be right to the corner, they'll be set back to, you know, however many feet is sort of standard. I think it's 15 or 20 feet, so.
To address any visibility, like it won't create any visibility issues.
Right.
It's been designed as such. And then, are there any questions or comments about that? Okay, and then the second piece is that, in speaking with Warwick Football, we learned about some additional need for accessible parking in Memorial Park. It also came to our attention that the existing accessible parking spots were not in our code, and they need to be entered into the code. There's also some additional need for signage on the spots that do exist. So what we've gone ahead and done is codified the spots that are there. There is an existing spot that is not currently to New York State code, so we've adjusted that to make it to code. And then we're adding 2 accessible parking spots at the skate park on the side nearest the football field. So you'll have 2 spots there. We're expanding the spot near the Little League. The 3 spots in the main football lot will be signed, and then the spots off McFarland will receive their signage, and then all will be codified. And then this doesn't need to be included in the code, and it's not included in the code, but another action that will be taking place is we'll be lining the spots at the skate park to help make it less of a free-for-all during events.
Yeah. It's great. It really has organized,
Yeah.
you know, as you say, codified. And over time, I think there was an understanding that these spots were necessary, but it seems that the lines were made and then it was not realized that it had to be also in our village code. So I'm very glad that you and Mike Mosier and Barry worked on this to get it in place, and thank you.
Yeah, thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
Yep, and also our intern, our summer
Oh,
intern,
yes,
Wakely, was a
Wakely,
huge
yeah.
help. Yeah,
Yes.
with the creation of the the metered spots. He was out there with Trustee Cheney and I.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
good. Any other comments from the board? We have to go into executive session, so if you could give that to me, and we can... Would be that one, Bill, if you want to do that.
Make a motion, we go into executive session, discuss the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property, or the proposed acquisition of securities, or sale or exchange of securities held by such public body, but only when publicity would substantially affect the value thereof.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Hi.
Aye. And we will not, when we return from executive session, there will be no motions or business, and we will finish the meeting at that point. So, thank you.